Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Why, hello there.
As always, guys, we encourage you, check us out, evolutionaryenergyarts.com. Learn more about us. There's testimonials. There's different forms of healing that we do and help people with, as well as educational links to learn more about the type of things that we study on a regular basis. As always, want to thank everybody for their support over on Patreon. Exclusive videos each week, typically over there. And as usual, there's a lot of craziness going on in the world.
Indeed.
It's like a poker game, isn't it? Okay, I see your 104% increase, and I'm going to raise you up to 180%. This is Xi Jinping saying he's retaliating against the U.S. with 180% tariffs starting tomorrow. So, the next thing that you're going to probably have, where could this possibly go? Could it simply be that they would shut down all trade between the two countries?
I know. It looks like it's going to be a mess.
It is. But then again, we understand that the system has to change. The system is the problem. The structure of the world itself, the geopolitical system, it's what is causing all these problems. Mind you, when you look to China, you will probably be blown away if you haven't looked at some of the technology and the cleanliness of the cities. Yes, air pollution, not good. Some of the worst air pollution, probably the worst air pollution on the planet. There might be a few other spots that are as bad. But when you look at some of the technology, it's literally mind-blowing. Look to Singapore, look to Dubai, and then go back and drive on I-95 through New York City. Oh, man, obviously they have not put any money into the U.S.'s public infrastructure, and they certainly have in other countries. Now, the U.S. has been at nonstop war. China hasn't been at nonstop war, not in a military standpoint. Monetarily, that might be a different situation, and economically, certainly. Production-wise, China is the number one producer globally of, as far as what their output is. It's just amazing. They really are producing so much in the world. Yet, when we look to the U.S., it still is the number one power broker at this point. And again, this is from looking at it through the eyes of a typical person in the matrix that doesn't understand the reality that at a certain level, everybody is taking their orders from above, so to speak, and below, too, I guess you could say.
I wasn't here to watch Mike put this together, but this really feels like there's a lot to this right here that we're looking at with the canal here. So I just getting information in from the guides. This is very significant. We should watch this very closely.
And what are you referring to specifically?
The canal.
Okay, yeah. This could be a contention point. This is again Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth in the Panama Canal. This could be where a conflict develops, or some sort of military naval episode could happen. Let's listen.
I want to be very clear. China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together with Panama in the lead, we will keep the canal secure and available for all nations through the deterrent power of the strongest, most effective, and most lethal fighting force in the world. We will do this in partnership with Panama. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence. And we will do this along with other capable, like-minded allies and partners. This is what peace through strength looks like.
What's going on right now is trying to secure the Western Hemisphere, at least in a outright open military standpoint. It's pretty obvious. Greenland, Canada, Panama. This is part of that bigger picture. As far as the EU side of things, the EU will approve its first counter tariffs on U.S. goods today. Measure is taken in response to the steel and aluminum tariffs that the U.S. placed on the EU weeks ago. Tariffs will be placed on $23 billion worth of U.S. goods. The list of goods seems to have been designed to hit the red states. The first tariffs coming into place April 15th will hit goods such as cranberries and orange juice. 60% of U.S. cranberry production is located in Wisconsin. 80% of orange juice comes from Florida. A 25% duty will then kick in from May 16th on the second batch of imported items like steel, meat, white chocolate, polyethylene, and finally a 25% duty on goods such as almonds and soybeans will take effect December 1st. So, again, you can see this is escalating. It is getting more and more crazy, it definitely economically and geopolitically. Microsoft cancels $1 billion project to build 3 new data centers in Ohio just 5 days after the tariffs went in. Licking County, Ohio will lose roughly 1,000 jobs and $150 million per year in revenue for the local economy. At the same time, we do have the lowest oil price in a very long time going in. Now, here you have Trump weighing drone strikes on the Mexican cartels amid major hemispheric defense push. Yeah, absolutely. What this is about is trying to, and again, of course, everything is telegraphed. This is, to me, when I'm looking at this, it's like, okay, they're always building up the justification for what gets put into the history books. So here you see like last minute mad scramble and push to secure the homeland is really what's going on here. And so this is showing that discussions have been ongoing as far as, do we use drones? Do we use drones and troops to literally infiltrate Mexico and take out the cartels, or do we just use drones? I mean, again, what we see going on is very, very concerning. Obviously, the cartels, as dark and evil as they get, as destructive as can be, they have created untold bloodshed, mass murders. It's just, and of course, it's the mind-altering substances that lead people into total demonic possession, really. Again, so sober up as much as possible, and again, don't forget that those things that we might call medicines can do the exact same things as some things that are illegal in opening up doors to your consciousness to be overridden.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we really have to watch what we're putting in our bodies right now and do our best to be healthy and clean, because that alters the perception. And when the perception is altered, well, information comes in, and it could come in not exactly like you thought it would. But, it's a journey. You really have to go within. You have to be very close to yourself. There's a lot of sifting and looking to go through for all of it. And then if you add something on top of that, well, it can just get complicated.
Yeah, and I think when you look into serial killers, they tend to be, and psychopaths in general, they tend to be very, very traumatized people, and you will find mind-altering substances at the core of every single one of them, in my opinion. I would be stunned to find one person that had not opened the door, whether it's something that's legally prescribed or illegal, first, to be able to commit such an atrocity as what we see with mass murders and psychopaths that run governments.
Well, what I've noticed in myself when I went through all of those issues with all the other doctors is I would become very combative, and I hated that about myself. And they're telling me, oh, here, this is going to make you better. Come back and see me in 3 weeks. And that probably went on for I don't know how many years. And they were promising to make me better. And I was numb to help myself. I couldn't help myself because my family wants what's best for me. But I had all of this energy being channeled, and it was completely being misdirected, because if you saw me back then and you saw me now, I'm two completely different people. So yeah, it's quite a journey, and it's very, very frightening. And that combative nature, I mean, it can go to levels of obviously quite dangerous in some cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I used to enjoy wine before bed all the time for decades. And we just don't open up any of those doors anymore. So the two of us are completely sober, 24/7, 365. We never, and that includes FARMA. We don't touch it. Again, we steer clear because we understand. Just look at the label of things like Paxil and Zoloft and Ambien even. And yeah, we're not doctors. Just read all the side effects that are possible, and you'll get a very, very eye-opening experience. Texas is suing BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street for energy market collusion. Attorney General Ken Paxton just filed a massive lawsuit accusing the world's top asset managers of rigging the coal market, driving up energy costs for Americans, pursuing a radical ESG agenda to strangle supply. Their conspiracy has harmed American energy production and hurt consumers. Use Climate Action 100 and net zero asset managers to crush coal, misled investors with fake green promises, raked in profits while you paid the price. It isn't just corporate overreach, it's the weaponization of finance for the globalist agenda. 10 other states have joined the fight as well. Yeah, it is a cartel. It really, truly is no different than, in many ways, not much different than what we're seeing in Mexico as well. And here you go, emergency 401, early withdrawals rise above historical norms. Yeah, a lot of people are tapping whatever they can tap right now because, things have gone insane as far as expenses. And yeah, we've shared us personally, the food bill is more than everything else combined. And this is just, again, it's been an obvious attack on the food supply the whole time. There are military exercises going on, DOD. This is, again, just talking about Independence, Missouri. So if you see any sort of military personnel training in realistic sites, be aware of this in Independence, Missouri, and other locations as well. Again, there's just so much chaos right now. Keystone Pipeline has ruptured oil spill near Edinburgh, North Dakota. And, you got to wonder what's going on there. Just an accident? Or is there any possibility of anything intentional there? IRS Chief Melanie Krause has resigned after reportedly refusing to provide ICE with personal information on an undocumented immigrant. And then over here we see Terry Adirim, the former DOD official behind the controversial ouchie for the militaries, just got fired from the CIA. Yeah, you do see some positive. You also see some very, very negative things, like a $1 trillion military budget. The fact that 47's making a statement saying, well, we're just simply taking that one little strip of land over in the Middle East. Under what authority? Well, it's just ruined. It's war-torn, Yeah, but who did it? The guy that's sitting next to you. This is part of the bigger picture. This is part of the bigger picture. And, again, the system is being very, very exposed for what it's done for thousands of years. Thousands. Meanwhile, NATO fighter jets scramble as there's some craft around Scotland. Could this be foreshadowing of real dogfights yet again coming up, as there's a lot of disconcerting information. We're really going to a new place, but here you have NATO's jets basically scrambling. It's what can you say? It's April 2025. It's basically go time. You have photos circulating of Chinese soldiers captured in Ukraine and on the Russian front lines. So, we've already seen North Korean soldiers there, as North Korea has suffered losses in Ukraine. And so China's there too, covertly. You are talking WW3 right then and there. It's just been limited at this point in time. So, this is a huge escalation, or a realization of the escalation. And again, if you look at military size, China is they say 1.4, I should say, billion people. And the prospects of how many people they could put into the military really dwarfs everybody but India. And of course, there's a tense border there between China and India as well. So, this is just enormous in the geopolitical scene, but yet it's all completely scripted and has been planted to be in place, in my mind, for well over all of our lifetimes.
I mean, this is something that's very amazing. And has it felt windy to you? See how windy your state was last month. I mean, this is absolutely crazy, the kind of storms that we have coming in. So many people really struggling, wind gusts. When I was in the desert, we dealt with that quite a lot, but you have those desert plains and it's normal for the wind gusts. And it was very frightening to be a semi-truck driving down those roads.
Yeah, and wow, because we were building a place in the desert, but then as a well is a big issue in the desert, and when we tried to get a well put in with no guarantees, the money was going to be just outrageous, and again, there was no guarantees that we'd actually have water. And then also when everything that we had built was covered in sand after some of the windstorms out there, that's when I said to Cindy, how about we go somewhere that has more trees? And so, we did. And that brings us to this. Now this is, by the way, George R.R. Martin. If you are familiar with those Tales of Fire and Ice, all that Stormborn, and, it was just a fun series to watch. And the big part of Game of Thrones was the fact that they had the dire wolves, and so he's holding what they say is the first new dire wolf born in 10,000 years. Now, I guess that is really dependent on how you define that, because what we have here is basically CRISPR technology, and this is basically modifying. So the scientists rewrote 14 gene keys in the cell's nucleus to match those of the dire wolf. It wasn't old dire wolf DNA. They didn't take a sample and splice it in from something that they had found, but they knew the coding, so they just rewrote the coding. So is it a dire wolf? I mean, if its DNA coding is the same as what was, then I would think the answer is yes. And the realization too is that we should understand is you can rewrite DNA through technology like CRISPR or other ways, and a lot of DNA is being overwritten right now, unfortunately, in this world. Perhaps the majority of DNA out there on the planet is literally being overwritten or attempted to be overwritten by the system, but we could overwrite our own DNA, and we do all the time. And it really depends on where we put our priorities and our practices. Mysterious underwater pyramid believed to be 12,000 years old reshapes history. This is a sunken pyramid near Taiwan. Note that 12,000 year period. So they talk about giant structure with sharp angled steps, stands roughly 90 feet tall, appears to be entirely made out of stone, should be man-made more than likely. Again, 12,000 years ago, what happened then? What happened 12,000 years ago? Well, we had the Younger Dryas extinction event. The Younger Dryas extinction event, to me, and everything that we've gotten as far as our channeled information and what my gut says, along with all the research, this, by the way, is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. This was buried and covered up around the same time. So what you have, and by the way, in case you missed it, we talked about this several times, 12,000-year-old lost city off New Orleans. with pyramids. Yeah, we kid you not. In the Gulf of America, Gulf of America. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, again, that Younger Dryas event that led to mass extinction on a level that's truly terrifying, in my mind, was an act of war. An act of war by the beings that literally also handed this Ark of the Covenant, again, to the lineage of the Abrahamic tradition, those known as the Anunnaki. CIA confirmed Ark of the Covenant's existence using remote viewing. So you have declassified documents talking about this. Yeah, CIA claimed to have confirmed the existence of the Ark of the Covenant by way of remote viewing, which is something that is done by pretty much every major government on the planet. They have people that are trained in this. This is all declassified. It is reality. People can, develop their abilities to do these things. And really, now that we're in the Bronze Age, as of April 8th, 2024, it's only going to become more common. So what you have is this Ark of the Covenant, which is technology.
It's definitely a form of technology that's not nice. It's, when I was looking at it, it does certain things to the energy body that are just, I don't know, it strips the energy away from the body, and therefore that really, it makes it very difficult for the body to function. So I saw it as some sort of energy weapon that, I mean, if you could imagine a big skinwalker just coming up and sucking the energy out of a human body. This is what this thing does. It just goes along and it sucks that energy out, and then there's nothing left to animate the body, therefore, causing death. I mean, it's a pretty nasty piece of equipment.
Yeah, and maybe we should do a whole video on what Cindy sees there. If you haven't checked out any of the playlists, these are on EE Arts, and this particular playlist right here this is talking all about the Anunnaki, and again, the day of their return, also known as the day of the Lord. And depictions from all around the world of these very, very reptilian-looking beings. Against the Anunnaki have come through to Cindy in the past. And literally, that's how they define themselves. We are the gods of your old scriptures. That's exactly how they said it.
Yeah, they're not very nice about it either.
No, absolutely not. And that's the thing that people have to realize. Grounding is one of the most powerful yet underrated health practices that exist. It improves literally every function in your body completely free, and outperforms 99% of supplements. Yeah, again, we are energy. And so, a lot of people haven't understood this. They haven't understood how practices like Qigong and Reiki, pranic healing, could work and be effective. That is the real thing that is going to help people in the future, because as we start to realize that just through the act of intention we can alter our DNA and our own reality, then people will take back their health, because again, you've been given a dependence on the system that is one based on falsehoods and lies and misunderstandings of what we really, really are. Again, you are consciousness having a temporary human experience. You don't need any sort of saviors, quote unquote. The only savior for you is you, and that's just waking up to the reality that it's all been a complete psyop. Take back your power. Understand that source, the true source, lies within you, as this kitty is trying to pot himself.
Oh, he's such a cute kitty. And if you're one that has trouble getting outside to do the grounding, invest in some of the grounding mats, the grounding sheets. All of that stuff is very helpful, and there's things you can do to check them and make sure they're doing what they do. But I'm a firm believer in grounding, and you might not notice anything right away, instantly, but over time, you start to feel better and things start to move better. You start making better decisions for yourself and your body, and things just get better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this is adorable. Please remember to repot your cats. They need room to grow. Well, also, unfurl your mind and allow your mind to expand, because if you are locked dead set in a paradigm, in, a particular way at looking through the world that's given to you by the system, then they got you, so you have to be aware and willing to expand your horizons, think out of the box, or in this case, think out of the pot.
Indeed.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.